Hello, everyone. Danny Dakari here from Tech and Learning. Thank you for attending today's Tech and Learning Future Proofing Your District Plan Conference. A special thank you to our sponsors, Catch On, Classcraft, FileWave, Global Teletherapy, GradeCam, Sanford Programs, and thank you to all of our association partners. Today's virtual conference is focused on taking the lessons learned from current remote learning programs to create long-term plans that support effective teaching and learning, both online and in person. I want to remind everyone to log in to the Conference Hub using the link in your confirmation email. Once you are logged in, you can visit a sponsor booth to learn about their offerings and book a meeting or live chat with them. See your personalized agenda, network with over 1,000 of today's attendees via the registrant directory and chat features. Access all of the conference resources in the download section. Win prizes. Throughout the Conference Hub, you will find several buttons to enter yourself into our passport to prizes. Please visit all of the pages using the navigation bar on the top of the page. Every time you find a button and fill in the form, you will earn one entry into the raffle. All entries are eligible for a series of prize drawings. Only one prize per participant. You can enter once for every button you find. We will announce winners via email at the end of the conference. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items. If you have any questions for the presenter during the webinar, please submit them through the Zoom chat feature. Please know we capture all questions and our presenters are happy to answer them as time permits. Today's slides and additional resource materials are available and may be accessed within the Downloads tab of the Conference Hub. We encourage you to download any resources or links that you may find useful. Be sure to use the conference hashtag #TLTechLive in your social posts. Please join me in thanking our terrific speakers who have kindly agreed to spend some time with all of us today. I also want to thank each and every one of you for joining and spending this time together. Please join me in welcoming our presenter, Arati Nagaraj.
Welcome to the Tech and Learning Virtual Conference, Community Engagement During a Crisis. My name is Arati Nagaraj and I'm honored to share my work and experiences with you today. I have been a school board member since 2010 in a TK8 district in Saratoga, California. In addition, I have worked as an instructional designer, professional development trainer, and a tech consultant for the past 20 plus years. I'm representing K20 Connect today, a concierge consulting service that offers a wide range of consulting and networking services to provide the necessary tools and expertise to your district, university, or business. We partner with our clients from start to finish, focusing on their needs, constructing new ideas, developing effective strategies, and designing high quality and scalable solutions. I appreciate all of you taking the time to be part of this conference today. Our objectives for this session are to describe the relationship between board and community, to design some methods of engagement with the community, and evaluate the process of board and community engagement. Community. Here's one definition of community: a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. Yes, we have common goals. However, our means of reaching them could differ. The board has the big picture, and the community usually has a sliver of that big picture. How do you bring the community along with you while respecting their perspectives and their points of view? Let's look at a strategy or a couple of strategies that have worked well for me. Assume positive intent. The belief that everyone is there for the same reason is very important. It's the students. It's the learning that's happening in the schools. Everyone wants what's best for the student, so let's assume that the right decisions get made and everybody is there for the right same reasons. How do we get there? A technique that I have found to be successful is the ABC way: acknowledge, bridge, convert. Let me explain what this means and how it works. Acknowledge. We talked about assuming positive intent earlier. When your community members have an issue, they will have a lot to say. Take notes, and once they have finished speaking, it's best practice to summarize what you heard. Active listening. For example, what I heard you say is, or the 3 points that you made are X, Y, Z. Let's discuss each of them. Next is bridge. Take what you heard them say and share the facts. Most often, community members share their opinions. Your role is to state the facts. I heard you say that the textbooks will never get replaced. The fact is, we are in the middle of an adoption cycle. This is the process that the district is taking, etc., etc. Which brings you to the final piece of this, final part of this process, which is convert. Bringing your constituents along with you is key. Helping them understand the facts and then giving them ways to be part of the solution. Let's take that textbook example again. The district is engaged in a review process for the new textbooks. A review committee is being formed. Would you like to be part of it? This process not only respects the person's issue or the complaint or the opinion, it provides facts and gives a chance to engage in a positive manner. So let's think about ways of soliciting community input. There can be many, many methods. One of them is forums. This method of soliciting input is also a way to educate your community with updates from the district. Having a moderator, a set agenda is key, and food. One best practice to solicit questions is via note cards. This process allows for the person asking the question to frame it versus rambling or providing opinions. The cards get collected and sorted into groups according to topics and then directed to the person who is best suited for the answer. Keeping these cards as a record allows the district to build out certain frequently asked questions about the topic as well. And this can then get disseminated to the rest of the community. Board office hours. So this is something that I have learned and I have implemented in my district, and I have seen it implemented in some others as well. It's a great way to recognize the value of promoting accessibility to the community. Implementing regular open door meetings with community members will result in addressing the goal of building on a community of trust. This is a way to allow board members to engage with the community in a forum outside that of a board meeting, and to facilitate the communication of community input on the district's educational policy, decisions, or anything, or what the crisis is, or what their thoughts are. Community members may find it intimidating to speak at board meetings, and the format of a board meeting does not allow for open dialogue with the board, especially during this crisis right now, when most of the meetings are now held on an online platform, and the dialogue is extremely restricted. With board office hours, that dialogue can happen. In my experience, we have sometimes got a heads up about situations that were taken care of before they became a big issue. Use your district policy on how many board members can be present, set a schedule for the year, post it on the website, send reminders a week prior with date, time, location, and members who will be there. After the board office hours, sharing the summary of the discussion during board comments at your next board meeting is a good practice. However, if there is an urgent issue that comes up, inform your superintendent right away so it can be attended to. And of course, personnel and confidential matters should not be reported out. One thing to remember is during board office hours, the community should recognize that no decisions are made at a board office hours. It is purely a forum to have a conversation and to share thoughts. Study groups and committees. Use this format for long-term work, such as evaluating curriculum, redesigning a school, and in the case of a crisis, this would be set up post-crisis. Set up a committee or working group to evaluate and monitor the post-crisis situation and potentially to plan for the next crisis that may show up. Including all stakeholders in this process ensures that all voices are heard. Surveys, a great way to reach your community, and a well-designed survey can get you a lot of input. They can be used as a pulse check of the situation. For example, in the current situation, in the current crisis, districts are sending out surveys to get a pulse on what the community wants for their child for school reopening. It gives parents and community members a way to share thoughts in a quiet and calm way, and they can really feel valued, that their opinion counts. Social media. It's our friend and our foe. Few things to definitely keep in mind. Being vigilant of what's happening on social media in your community is imperative. Trying to not comment or post or get into any online discussion is best practice, because that becomes a point of view and it could be taken as the board's point of view. If there's inaccurate information on social media, it might be best to inform your superintendent so that the district can put out the facts. Being proactive on social media could be hugely beneficial, especially in the time of a crisis, because that medium becomes a primary source of information for many. Let the district put out the message, and you can point the community to that message. The board members are the eyes and ears of the community. We have to sense that tsunami that's going to come. So be vigilant, be proactive, and point people to the facts and the right information that comes from the district. With any engagement technique or tool, we have to evaluate what's working or not. You want to make sure all voices are being heard from your community. Sometimes the vocal minority speaks up. Seeking the other majority is crucial that a balanced decision is made. If your community has a variety of ethnic or social groups, ensure that they are heard as well. Translations or intentional outreach to those groups is very, very important. Sharing all the feedback you hear from any of the methods is very important via board updates or messages to the community. This ensures transparency and, most of all, respect that the board values everyone's input. So, what's next? Let's see. Some of the things for you to consider after this session. What are some of your community engagement techniques, and specifically during the crisis? What might you keep? What might you discard? And what might you modify? This iterative and reflective process will help boards refine and do what's best for the community, because we know the community changes ever so often. That's all for today, but I look forward to the Q&A. Please subscribe to K20Connect.net and to get our latest news and reports. And now we will move into the Q&A.
Thank you, Arati, for that. I'm going to open up the room for questions and have Arati answer any kind of questions that are out there. Please send your questions in the chat room. If you would like to speak, just ask to be unmuted and I will unmute you.
Thank you, Danny, and thank you all for being here. I appreciate the time you've taken to listen. Sorry I had to do this as a recording, but I hope that was helpful. I'm happy to go deeper. Julie has a question. Would you like to ask the question, Julie, live, or would you just like me to answer your question? Okay, I'll just answer. The question is, you tried office hours. How do you physically handle that? Can people drop in while others are talking, or how do you keep it private or not too crowded? So we developed a board protocol about board office hours. I can actually share that, Danny, I'll share that with you later so you can put it up on the download page. People can drop in. We have, basically the board members, they manage the facilitation of it, making sure that everybody gets a chance to ask their question. If for some reason somebody wants to have a confidential conversation, we do manage that. We have had that in a few instances. The way we did that was we saved time at the end, say like 5 or 10 minutes, and we would say, we do have something confidential to discuss. So we would ask the rest of the group to leave versus the people who wanted to have that private conversation. Another way to handle that was that if they didn't feel comfortable having that private conversation, then we would set up another time to have that. So people did drop in. We did have many times some very controversial issues, and people walked in. The first few meetings were a little chaotic, but then afterwards we did like some crowd control, and it was usually at a school site. We rotated in our school sites, so usually the school secretary or the principal was always there to also manage the number of people in the room. But after a while, people understood the protocol and managed it, and it's actually been really, really successful. We've been doing this for almost 4 years in our school district, and we've also set up separate staff office hours so that staff, teachers and staff can come and talk to the board directly as well. And we've scheduled those either in the morning before school or after school. And that has also been valuable. And again, building trust with the teachers, building trust with the community, that has been a very positive method of interaction. I hope I answered your question. Okay, any other questions? Very quiet group over here. I cannot emphasize enough about the current, the social media situation, especially in our current times. We just have, it's been a very difficult line to draw, especially because, you cannot deny people their freedom of speech and all of that, but we try to, as a board, come up with certain guidelines or an agreement that what we will follow. If the district posts something, we can reshare without comment. And it's just something of a protocol that we try to do, just so that we can keep we call it keep the peace in the land. Any other questions? You're welcome, Diana. I appreciate it. I'm happy to have conversations with you, anyone individually as well, for any questions you might have or concerns or challenges that you're facing. Community engagement is a very important and yet very difficult piece to manage. I will say, as a board member in almost 10 years, I have developed very thick skin in responding. And again, that ABC format really works: acknowledge, bridge, and connect. And helping community understand that the board cannot do everything by themselves, or the district office staff cannot do everything by themselves. So bringing people along and having them be part of the solution is a really good way for educating the community, as well as respecting them for being part of the system and have their voices heard. Okay, Diana has a question. Diana, would you like to get on and ask the question, or would you like me to just read it and answer? Okay, what part does the board play in how the state or your district is planning to go back to school? That's a great question, Diana. Thank you. There's multiple ways of doing this. One is, if there are certain state or county policies that you feel are going to be a hindrance to reopening of schools, the best way to do that is advocate with your assemblyman, your congressman, and really step that advocacy piece up as a board member. I know in California, we have been doing a lot of advocacy around the funding for schools, and then also the special ed funding, and also the mandates the state mandates for health and our local county mandates for health or reopening are not quite aligned. So we advocate with our county health department. So the advocacy piece is key. The second, I would say, in how what role the board plays is, again, setting direction, setting some goals with the superintendent and their staff. What we've been doing is we asked our superintendent to push out a survey to our constituents, get a pulse check, and see where they are today in terms of reopening. We will be evaluating the survey results when we get them, and based on that, come up with certain direction. It's not like the board doesn't make do all the fine work or the on the ground work. I did this in another session, but I'll repeat it here. We'll set the direction, and the staff does the work and then comes to you with a recommendation. And most often that's what you will be approving. Of course, after many questions, answers, iterative cycles of that. So that's sort of the role the board plays. It's the advocacy with your state and state representatives. And second is setting direction, clear direction for your superintendent and the staff. Does anybody else have any other ideas on that, or suggestions or things that have worked in their districts?
If anybody else has any more questions, you could send it to the chat room or ask to be unmuted to speak with RT. We'll leave the room open for about 2 more minutes, and then RT could leave with some closing remarks, and I'll close right after you.
So I will, Danny, I will share that one more resource that you can then put up in the hub, in
Okay.
the conference hub, so that people have it. It's the protocol that we have for board office hours. And if you need to connect with me, I'm Arati at k20connect.net. Happy to have conversations with you, or just share, do some problem solving with you on a one-on-one basis. And wish everybody all the luck with the reopening of schools, whatever that might look like, and the planning on that. And there's a lot.
Thank you, RT.
Thank you.
So, hey, everybody. Once again, this is Danny Dakari here from Tech and Learning. On behalf of our entire team, thank you for attending today's Tech and Learning Future Proofing Your District Plan Conference. A special thank you to our sponsors, Catch On, Classcraft, FileWave, Global Teletherapy, GradeCam, Sanford Programs, and thank you to all our association partners. Please join me in thanking our terrific speaker, RT, today. And I also want to thank each and every one of you for joining us and spending this time together. And don't forget to register for next week's Tech and Learning Roundtable webinar on Wednesday, June 3rd. Join Dr. Keisha Ray as she speaks with district leaders about the security issues related to online learning as schools plan for next year, such as keeping data private, cyber security concerns, and monitoring online activity to make sure students are safe and content is appropriate. To register, please visit techlearning.com/events. We look forward to getting together with you all again in person soon. Until then, stay safe and healthy.